Imagine standing over a freshly killed bison, one animal, hundreds of kilograms of meat, more food than your family could possibly eat before spoilage begins to take over. Today, the solution is almost invisible. You cut the meat, put it in a freezer, close the door, problem solved. But remove electricity, remove refrigeration, remove the freezer. Now that same animal becomes a race against time, because the moment the animal dies, another process begins, decay. So people on the North American plains developed a solution that sounds almost impossible by modern standards. They sliced lean meat, dried it thoroughly, pounded it into small pieces, mixed it with rendered animal fat, sometimes added dried berries, then packed the mixture tightly into storage containers, including bags made from animal hide. The result was pemmican, and when properly prepared and stored, pemmican could remain usable for remarkably long periods, far longer than fresh meat. It was compact, energy-dense, portable, and designed around one ancient problem. How do you make today's food survive until tomorrow? Eventually, the answer became so important that pemmican wasn't just feeding people, it was helping move them, and controlling it became part of a much larger struggle over trade and power. But first, we need to understand the enemy. A successful hunt sounds like the end of a problem. For most of human history, it was only the beginning. The moment an animal died, the countdown started. Microorganisms began breaking down its tissues. Warm conditions could accelerate the process, and a large animal created a brutal mathematical problem. How do you consume hundreds of kilograms of meat before it becomes unusable? You could eat as much as possible immediately. You could share it, but neither solved the real problem. What if the next hunt was weeks away? What if winter was approaching? What if your group had to travel? You couldn't simply store fresh meat indefinitely. You had to change it. Across human history, people discovered different ways to slow or prevent spoilage. Dry it, smoke it, salt it, ferment it, freeze it. Different methods, different environments, different cultures, but the same basic objective: make the environment hostile to decay. And on the North American plains, one of the most remarkable solutions was pemmican. The first step was simple: remove water. Lean meat, often bison, could be sliced into thin strips and dried thoroughly. And this matters because microorganisms need available moisture to grow. Remove enough of that moisture, and you've dramatically changed the conditions for spoilage. The meat became dry, tough, lighter. Then it was pounded. The recognizable muscle became small pieces or a coarse meal. Now it could be mixed, packed, and transported much more efficiently. Then came the defining ingredient: rendered fat. The dried meat was mixed with melted animal fat. Dried berries could also be added. The mixture was packed tightly into storage containers, traditionally including animal hide bags. And something remarkable emerged: not fresh meat, not simply jerky, a concentrated mixture of protein and fat that could provide substantial energy in a compact form. The Cree word pemmican is associated with fat and the preparation of this food. And the genius wasn't one secret ingredient. It was the system: thorough drying, high energy density, rendered fat, tight packing, careful storage. The goal wasn't to make meat look fresh. It was to make it last. And that's the crucial distinction. They weren't trying to preserve yesterday's meal. They were manufacturing tomorrow's food. Now think about what that changed. Imagine traveling hundreds of kilometers with enough food to keep a group alive. Fresh meat is heavy. A large part of its weight is water. Water is essential to life, but carrying unnecessary water across enormous distances cost energy. Drying changed that equation. Pemmican concentrated food into a compact, energy-dense form that made it extraordinarily useful for hunters, travelers, and traders. A relatively small quantity could provide substantial calories. It didn't need refrigeration. It didn't need a truck. It didn't need a modern supply chain. It could simply be carried, and that created a powerful advantage. Food could travel with people. That sounds ordinary now, but for people moving through enormous landscapes, it was transformative, because when food becomes easier to carry, distance becomes easier to cross. The late 18th and early 19th centuries, pemmican had become a critical provision in the North American fur trade. Voyageurs and traders traveled enormous distances. They needed food that could survive the journey. Pemmican fit the problem: compact, energy-dense, portable, long-lasting when properly prepared and stored. Trading posts depended on food supplies, expeditions depended on trading posts, and suddenly a preservation technique technique had become part of a much larger machine, logistics. And when food becomes logistics, food can become power. In 1814, Governor Miles McDonnell issued the Pemmican Proclamation, restricting the export of pemmican from the Red River colony. The decision disrupted a food supply deeply connected to the fur trade. It intensified existing tensions involving the Hudson's Bay Company, the Northwest Company, and Métis communities. Those tensions eventually erupted into violence, culminating in the Battle of Seven Oaks in 1816. So no, pemmican didn't single-handedly start a war. History is rarely that simple, but controlling pemmican meant interfering with the food system that helped keep people moving. And suddenly, a bag of preserved meat and fat wasn't merely something you ate, it was something worth fighting over. That is the moment a preservation technique becomes infrastructure. Pemmican wasn't remarkable because humans discovered preservation only once. It was remarkable because it was one answer to a problem humans everywhere had to solve. Different environments produced different technologies. In cold regions, freezing could slow microbial growth. In dry environments, dehydration could remove the moisture microorganisms need. Smoking could dry meat while exposing it to compounds produced by burning wood that can inhibit certain microorganisms. Salting reduced available moisture and created conditions hostile to many microbes. Fermentation changed the microbial environment itself. Different methods, different cultures, different ingredients, but underneath them was the same principle. Change the environment until decay loses the advantage. Salt gives us another fascinating example. The Romans had the Via Salaria, the salt road, associated with transporting salt toward Rome. And you've probably heard the famous story that Roman soldiers were literally paid in salt. That's almost certainly an oversimplification. The Latin salarium is connected with sal, meaning salt, but the exact historical relationship is more complicated than the popular story suggests. There is no solid evidence that Roman soldiers routinely received their wages as physical salt. So the famous salt paycheck story is probably a myth, but the deeper truth remains. Salt was valuable enough to shape trade, valuable enough to influence routes, and valuable enough to leave a permanent mark on language. Now look at your kitchen. You probably have something ancient hiding inside it, not pemmican. The problem pemmican solved: food uncertainty. Today, food is everywhere. A supermarket may be minutes away. Your refrigerator runs around the clock. Global supply chains move food across oceans. You can order dinner without leaving your house. And yet, people still stockpile. Extra rice, extra cans, extra frozen meat. Another loaf because the first one might run out. Why? Because for most of human history, food availability was uncertain. A successful hunt could mean abundance. A failed hunt could mean hunger. A good harvest could carry a community through winter. A bad one could do the opposite. Modern research on scarcity shows that perceived shortages can influence attention, decision-making, and resource acquisition. That doesn't prove that your freezer is literally running an ancient hunter's program, but it reveals something fascinating. Modern abundance is extraordinarily recent. Our environment changed, our technology changed, our food supply changed, but the psychological importance of having enough didn't disappear. For thousands of generations, running out of food was not an inconvenience. It was a serious survival threat. Today, the threat is usually smaller, but the question remains familiar. What if there isn't enough? Stand beside that ancient kill again. The animal is enormous. The food is abundant, but the future is uncertain. And somewhere in that uncertainty is the question humans have been asking for thousands of generations. What happens if this isn't enough? So we learn to preserve, to dry, to smoke, to salt, to ferment, to freeze, to store. Then we built refrigerators, freezers, warehouses, supermarkets, global supply chains. We surrounded ourselves with layers of protection against scarcity. The hide bag became the freezer. The preserved meat became the packaged meal. The hunting ground became the supermarket aisle. And the ancient survival calculation became, maybe I should get one more just in case. But here's the strange part. We didn't eliminate the fear of running out. We built a civilization designed to answer it. The technology changed, the environment changed, the food changed, but the question remained. Is there enough? Maybe that's why pemmican matters far beyond the food itself. It wasn't simply a recipe. It was an answer to uncertainty, a way of taking something abundant today and making it useful tomorrow, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And that may be one of the oldest ideas humans have ever learned. Don't waste abundance when the future is uncertain. If you want to uncover the ancient instincts hiding inside ordinary modern behavior, subscribe. There's more of this coming.